Listen, I'm going to tell you something about female unhappiness that will completely change how you see every complaint, every criticism, every eye roll your woman gives you. And before you start thinking this is some misogynistic rant, understand that what I'm revealing comes from observing thousands of relationships, including my own disasters, and recognizing patterns so consistent they're like laws of physics. There's a mechanism in the female psyche, a program running since childhood that creates chronic dissatisfaction regardless of external circumstances. And until you understand this mechanism, you'll keep trying to fix problems that can't be fixed. Apologize for things that aren't your fault and slowly transform into a pathetic shell of a man desperately trying to make an unhappy woman happy, which is like trying to fill a bucket with no bottom. You know what's the most common phrase I hear from married men? Nothing I do is ever good enough. He brings flowers, wrong color. He plans a date, wrong restaurant. He helps with housework, he's doing it wrong. He doesn't help, he's lazy. He works long hours to provide, he's absent. He spends time at home, he's not ambitious enough. This total dissatisfaction, this global criticism of everything he does, thinks, says, or doesn't say, is not actually about him at all. This is the revelation that will set you free from the prison of trying to please someone who cannot be pleased. I discovered this pattern through painful repetition in my own relationships. There was a period, maybe 5 years, when I dated different women, completely different backgrounds, ages, careers, personalities, but the scenario was identical. Initial happiness, honeymoon phase, then gradually increasing dissatisfaction with everything about me and our life together. The first woman complained I wasn't romantic enough. With the next one, I went full romantic. Surprise trips, poetry, the whole production. She complained I was too soft, not masculine enough. With the third, I became more dominant, took charge, made decisions. She complained I didn't consider her opinions enough. You see, the dissatisfaction wasn't actually about my behavior. It was a pre-existing condition that would have manifested regardless of what I did or didn't do. These women were running ancient programs, partly genetic, partly from childhood, partly from social conditioning that made happiness impossible regardless of external circumstances. They were unhappy before me, they were unhappy with me, and they are unhappy now, after me, because the unhappiness comes from within, not without. Programs that create unhappiness. Let's break down the first layer of this. Genetics. Research shows that about 50% of personality traits, including optimism versus pessimism, are hereditary. Some women are literally born with brain chemistry that predisposes them to see the negative in everything. Their default setting is dissatisfaction. Their baseline is complaint. Their norm is to be unhappy. Without serious conscious effort to rewire these patterns, they will remain permanently dissatisfied, regardless of who they are with or what they have. I've repeatedly observed this pattern in families where the grandmother was chronically unhappy, the mother is chronically unhappy, and now the daughter is chronically unhappy. 3 generations of women who could win the lottery, marry Prince Charming, live in paradise, and still find something to complain about because their brain is wired to find what's wrong, not what's right. This isn't a choice. It's a genetic predisposition, like having brown eyes or being left-handed, but genetics is just the foundation. The real damage comes from childhood programming. Every unhappy woman I've known had one of 2 childhood scenarios, sometimes both. First scenario, problematic relationship with her father. Maybe he was absent, maybe he was abusive, or maybe just emotionally unavailable. She grows up with a deep resentment toward the masculine, with a subconscious conviction that men will always disappoint her. And guess what? She creates this reality herself by choosing disappointing men, or by being so impossible that even good men become a disappointment, trying to meet her impossible standards. Second scenario, she watched her mother be chronically dissatisfied and learned that this is exactly how women are supposed to be. The mother constantly complained about the father, criticized everything, was never happy with what she had, always wanted more, different, better. The daughter absorbs this like a sponge. thinking this is normal female behavior, that this is how relationships are built, that this is what marriage looks like. By the time she becomes an adult, the programming is so deep that she doesn't even realize she's running her mother's software. Time and again, I see women unconsciously recreating their mother's unhappiness, even if they consciously swore never to be like her. They catch themselves saying the exact same words as their mothers, making the same complaints, creating the same miserable atmosphere they grew up in, because it feels familiar. And humans, if not conscious, will always choose the familiar over the happy. Distorted reality. But here is where it gets truly twisted. The gap between expectations and reality. Modern women have been sold a fantasy about what relationships and marriage should be. They grow up on Disney princesses, romantic comedies, and social media highlights, and they enter relationships expecting to be carried in arms, expecting life to be constant romance, adventure, diamonds, and roses. And then reality hits. Bills, chores, routine, normal human flaws in a partner. And the gap between fantasy and reality becomes a source of constant dissatisfaction. I knew this one woman, let's call her Anna. Beautiful, smart, she had it all. She marries a guy who adores her. A good man, stable job, treats her well. 6 months into the marriage, she's miserable. Why? Because she expected marriage to heal all her childhood wounds, fill all the holes in her soul, make her feel whole. When this doesn't happen, when she still feels empty inside because those holes can only be filled from within, she blames him. He's not romantic enough, not successful enough, not something enough to fix what's broken inside her. This is projection, when internal emptiness is blamed on external circumstances. If only he earned more, I'd be happy. He finds a better job, earns more. She's still unhappy. Now, if only we had a bigger house. They buy the house. Still unhappy. If only he were more attentive. He becomes more attentive. Still unhappy. He's too clingy. I need space. The target constantly shifts because the dissatisfaction has nothing to do with the target. Envy and comparison are poisoning female happiness at levels never before seen in human history. Every woman now has a window into thousands of other women's lives, or at least into the filtered versions they showcase. She sees a colleague's anniversary gift, her sister's home renovation, her friend's weight loss, her neighbour's new car, and every little thing becomes proof of her own life's inadequacy. She only sees what others have and she doesn't, and never sees what she has and others don't. The effect of social media cannot be underestimated. Every woman is now comparing her real life to everyone else's highlight reel, her real relationship to someone else's performance, her genuine struggles to someone else's filtered perfection. This creates a permanent feeling of not being enough, of being cheated, of feeling like everyone else got the good life while she got stuck with reality. Self-sabotage and loss of identity. Here's what most men don't understand. Many women are deeply insincere. Not because they are bad people, but because since childhood, they were taught to wear masks, to play roles, to be whoever they need to be to get and keep a man. They present themselves as easygoing when they are very demanding, as sexual when they are frigid, as domestic when they hate housework, as agreeable when they are controlling. And then, after the wedding, when the mask comes off, they are angry that they had to pretend for so long, and angry at him for not seeing through the mask. I have observed this pattern countless times, where women feel they cannot be themselves because their real selves wouldn't be chosen, so they perform. And performing is exhausting. Exhaustion breeds resentment, and resentment manifests as chronic dissatisfaction. There is also the feminist superiority complex that has been programmed into modern women. They've been told they are queens, goddesses, prizes to be won, that they deserve everything, and men should be grateful for their mere presence. This creates a dynamic where they see men as inferior beings who exist to serve them, provide for them, and worship them. But here's the paradox. It's impossible to respect what you consider inferior. And it's impossible to be happy in a relationship with someone you don't respect. You cannot feel a genuine connection with someone you see as beneath you. It's psychologically impossible. Many men encounter women who seem to actively sabotage their own happiness. She says she wants stability and creates chaos. She says she wants peace and starts fights. She says she wants love and pushes away affection. This isn't conscious manipulation. This is an unconscious program playing out. She is recreating the dysfunction she knows, because dysfunction feels like home. The childhood wounds are so deep that many women don't even recognize happiness when they experience it. I've seen women in genuinely good relationships create problems out of nothing because the peace feels wrong, the stability feels suspicious, and the happiness feels temporary. So why not destroy it now? Instead of waiting for it to inevitably end, they are so convinced that happiness is impossible that they make it impossible. The inevitable finale. The darkest truth about female unhappiness is that for many women, it has become an identity. They find common ground with other women through complaining. They get attention by being victims. They avoid responsibility by blaming their dissatisfaction on others. They have been unhappy for so long, they don't know who they would be if they were happy. Happiness would require changing everything about how they relate to the world, and that is terrifying. Attempting to make an unhappy woman happy actually only makes things worse. You solve one problem, she finds another. You satisfy one need, she develops a new one. You fix one complaint, she creates another. Because the unhappiness isn't about the problems, it's about the identity, the familiar feeling, the known state of being. Happiness would be foreign, uncomfortable, suspicious. The consequences for men are devastating. Good men spend years, decades, entire lives trying to make unhappy women happy, not understanding that it's impossible. They sacrifice their own needs, their own happiness, their own identity, trying to fill a hole that cannot be filled from the outside. They develop anxiety, depression, lose confidence, lose themselves trying to please someone who cannot be pleased. They think, if I just try harder, do more, be better, she will finally be happy. But she won't, because her unhappiness isn't about him. The hardest truth a man must accept is this: you cannot make an unhappy woman happy. If she was unhappy before you, she will be unhappy with you, and she will be unhappy after you. Your presence, your efforts, your love cannot heal what is broken inside her. Only she can do that work, and most won't, because it's easier to blame you than to fix themselves. The test is simple. Was she happy before she met you? Does she have a pattern of happiness in other areas of her life? Does she take responsibility for her own emotional state? Does she practice gratitude? Does she have realistic expectations? If the answers to these questions are no, then you are with a chronically unhappy person, and that is not going to change because of anything you do or don't do. Understanding this doesn't solve the problem, but it frees you from the futile effort of trying to fix what you didn't break and cannot repair. Her happiness is her responsibility, and until she takes that responsibility, she will remain unhappy, no matter what you do, who she is with, or what she has. This is just one of the many mechanisms that control us. If you're ready to stop walking in circles and want to understand the deep-seated programs that actually define your life, your relationships, and your reactions, this is the place for you. Subscribe to Psycheria